bounce into that favorite spot and make sure you make a clean landing. You are going to tumble for this show as we peddle video after video right to you. So get ready to dismount. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. Another solid week here that we've got a lot of things to show everyone.
Yeah, we're very full. Boys and girls basketball teams only had one game each. We did not get video on that night, but we do have a fair amount of video. The rest of the way, we're shining the spotlight on the wrestling team that has returned to action after their delay and is really trying to make up for lost time.
Yep.
They're getting a lot of action in against a lot of really, really good teams so that they can be as ready as possible come tournament time.
Yeah, and they've had a pretty solid start as well.
Absolutely. A lot of things to talk about. We will start, as we always do, with the boys hockey team. They have this whole week off before what is the softest part of their schedule, and they need some positivity after suffering one of the worst losses in team history. They knew Centennial would be tough, but no one expected what it would go as badly as it did. Saturday was senior night as the Cardinals celebrated their 16 seniors, but the celebration was short-lived. Just a minute into the game, Henry Bartle slides a pass through the slot. Owen Van Tassel there to one time at home. That was just the beginning of the onslaught. 5 minutes in, pressure forces the turnover. A.J. Carl shows his patience and eventually goes to his backhand to slide it home. Centennial was up 5-0 just 5.5 minutes into the game. And they never let up. They scored 7 goals in each of the first 2 periods and added 5 more in the running time third. 19 goals from 13 different players. 5 guys finished with 4 points in the game. 7 others had 3 points against the Cardinals. Centennial dominated start to finish, outshooting the Cardinals 54-5 on their way to a 19-0 rout, dropping the Cardinals to 0-10 on the year with 8 of the 10 games going to running time. It's another one the Cardinals would just as soon forget about.
They certainly would like to forget about that one, Joe. And obviously you were there and covering it, and it's difficult. You know, I talked to some people outside of the Coon Rapids area that are hockey aficionados, and they go, "Why are they pouring it on with running time and and scoring 5 goals in that third period? They're up 14-0 at the time. Why are they doing it?"
Well,
and
there's a lot of reason to ask that question.
Yeah.
For some, it's a chance to get points. I mean, a couple of those Centennial guys got their first goal against the Cardinals.
Right.
Some of them, a couple of them probably had their best point output of their high school career.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I would rather see them call the dogs off a little bit.
You would think they would have.
At the same time, you've got to put up a fight in order for them to back off.
Yeah, and it's a tough year, obviously, for the boys hockey team, and hopefully the guys are doing the best they can to keep their heads held high, even though that they're on the losing end of these lopsided scores most nights.
Well, this next stretch of games is really an opportunity. I mean, they have. It's been a really rough start, and they would rather throw out all 10 games that they've played so far, or at least the last 9 that they've played after a decent showing against Armstrong Cooper in the season opener. But these next 4 games, they play Spring Lake Park, Anoka, Spring Lake Park, Anoka. Those are 2 teams that are going to be closer to their level. On Saturday, they're outside on the CTN outdoor rink on Saturday evening against Spring Lake Park team that also gave up 19 goals on Saturday.
They did to Maple Grove.
So 2 teams that really want to kind of try and right their ships a little bit, and both teams are going to be looking at it the same way, as this is a team that we can be more competitive with, and confidence goes a long way in any sport. So for either team, but hopefully the Cardinals, to get a little confidence, get a couple of goals, get some guys on the board that haven't scored yet, get a win would be huge.
It'd go a long way.
It would go a tremendously long way. And as the schedule works out, they have 3 games this year against Anoka. You may remember the first time they played the Tornadoes, it was a 3-2 game after 2 periods and ended with an 8-2 running time win for Anoka. So they want to get a little bit of revenge for that, and at least go out and show Anoka that they're better than that.
You bet.
And I really think that they will. Girls hockey team, all week last week we were talking, show last week we were talking about how tough it is in this conference. We talk about it again this week. The Bluebirds taking on Blaine on Saturday rather. Took the Bengals to overtime and came up just short, losing 2-1. Delaney Johnson had the goal for the Cardinals. Cameron Mayer made 24 saves in the overtime loss.
Well, the Bluebird schedule got even more difficult this week with back-to-back games against ranked opponents. On Tuesday, they traveled to Centennial to take on the number 17 Cougars. Centennial was 7-2 with their only losses to top-ranked Andover and number 8 Maple Grove, so it would be a major test for the Bluebird squad. No score midway through the first, and an opportunity for the Fighting Bluebirds. Delaney Johnson is tripped up, and CPCR goes on the power play. But it's the Cougars that pounce on the puck. Lauren O'Hara forces a turnover and leads a 2-1. She gets to Megan Goudreau on the front. She beats Mayer with a wrist shot, getting Centennial on the board shorthanded. We're late in the period. Goudreau able to get the puck to the corner. She feed the point. Abby Elliott puts it on net. Mayer gets a piece of it, but trickles in behind her. Centennial goes to the locker room with a 2-0 lead. For the Bluebirds, they come out flying in the second. Kylie Scott crosses across the front. Puck is poked free, and Molly Terabeza able to backhand it past the keeper. Her team-leading 5th goal of the season cuts the lead in half. Unfortunately, that celebration won't last long. Just over a minute later, Nicole Hemer feeds Lauren O'Hara. She scores top shelf. The Cougars have a goal advantage again. CPCR controlled the action and heavily outshot Centennial, but the Cougars able to bury their chances. Ella O'Hearn gets behind the defense, makes it a 4-1 lead. Late in the second, they add 2 more on their way to a 6-1 win.
Yeah, outshot them better than 2-1 in the game. Final shots on goal were 38-13, so almost 3-1. They really controlled the action.
They did.
But hats off to their freshman goaltender who played outstandingly well. And, on the flip side, unfortunately, Centennial really took advantage of every scoring chance they had, and they made them count. Cameron Mayer only played the first period, came out and gave way to Sam Boucher, nicked up a little bit, and we hope Cam is able to get back in playing shape because on Saturday they host Andover, the number 1 ranked defending state champions. And Howie?
We'll be there.
And then they will be at Osseo Park Center on Tuesday next week. So you play a couple of really good teams, and then you have a couple of games that they could maybe right the ship. But who knows? Anything can happen. They could go out there and surprise the Huskies. That's what we're hoping for.
On any given Saturday.
That's correct. Well, the Cardinals wrestling team just continues to test itself against some of the other elite teams in the state, and they are earning passing grades. With just about every event becoming a tri-meet this year, the Cardinals are making sure to line up opponents that are going to push them to get better. They had 4 matches between Friday and Saturday, and again, 3 of the 4 were against ranked opponents. Cardinals were at Blaine on Friday, but their first matchup put them against number 17 ranked Woodbury. Tyler Kerr comes up big for the Cards at 120 pounds, able to get himself a pin midway through the second period. Coon Rapids has an 11-6 lead after 3 matches. Timmy Horst making his varsity debut against the Royals at 132, gets the early reversal and turns it into a headlock for a pin in the first period. Nice way to break into the varsity roster. 152-pounder Carter Skradsky also getting his first chance on the varsity mat and making the most of his opportunity. He uses the double armbar to get his man to his back, and he'll get the pin in the final seconds of the second period. Alex Kowalczyk is one of the Cardinals' returning state entrants, and he stays perfect so far this season with a pin early in the second period at 182. It was 39-18 at that point. Cards on their way to a 45-30 win.
The Cardinals look to carry momentum into the second match of the night against the host Bengals. Blaine may not be ranked, but it's a conference match, so the Cardinals are fired up to stay perfect in the Northwest Suburban. Timmy Horst doing it again at 132. This time he gets his man to the splits, rolls him down the mat for a pin with just seconds left in the match, but the Cardinals trail 15-9. Not to worry, their strength is in the middle and upper weights. Carter Skradsky also able to starting his varsity career with back-to-back pins. He uses the headlock, finishes man in the third period at 145. Cards still down 18-15. Dalen Jones is on the mat next, and he gives the Cardinals their first lead. Great speed with an upper body strength. Helps them take control right away. He ends this one just a minute into the first period. Defending champion hoping to get back to state this year. The match was a tie at 24 when Eli Madimba took the mat at 182. He's able to get Coon Rapids another first period pin, and they would dominate the rest of the way. They post 4 straight pins to finish with a convincing victory. Riley Hargrave with a solid hip toss to put his man to the mat in the second period at 220. He's able to get chest to chest to get the pin. So when you get the big boys, it always helps to have the top-ranked heavyweight. Gavin Layton rolls his man over in the second period, stays undefeated on the season. His pin finished the scoring with the Cardinals winning 48-24.
Yeah, Kowalczyk and Gavin Layton both 12-0 to start the year. That's great. Of course, we talked about it a couple of times already this year. Gavin went undefeated all the way through to the state championship and lost a close one when he had a lead. So he's looking to make it all the way and finish as a state champion. But it's fun to watch these guys. They always put together such a solid club. It's such a strong program. They always rebuild, but this year is really not so much a rebuilding year because they are returning so much talent. And they really, it could be fun to watch what happens as we go through these next couple of weeks to see if they could get themselves a conference championship and maybe make it to state as a team.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But it's an awfully tough section.
It is. Always has been.
And on Saturday, they were at Forest Lake, who, what do you know, happens to be a team in Section 7 and also happens to be the number 5 ranked team in the state. Cardinals facing number 4 Wayzata and number 5 Forest Lake, and they lose both 50-21 to the Trojans, 39-28 to the Rangers. But Demetrius Seals at 160 was 2-0 with a pin and a major decision. Andre Dimov at 113, Alex Kowalczyk and Riley Hargrave were all 2-0 as well. Technically, Gavin Layton was also 2-0, but one of them was by forfeit.
Gotcha.
So, but a lot of guys having a really strong start to the year, and it should be interesting as we see it through to the end. And the Cardinals should feel pretty good about where they are right now, considering what they've already been through. They were less than a week into practice when they had to shut down. Now, they're trying to keep that from holding them back. They have a ton of potential this year, and they're hoping they can see it through to the end.
It's kind of a struggle because we can't do most stuff as we usually do, but we're striving through.
This is not the season anyone anticipated. The Cardinals started, like everyone else, with new protocols and procedures to limit exposure to the virus. Still, on day 4, a positive test meant they had to shut down.
I was pretty sad because I knew that if we had 2 weeks off, then other teams are going to be 2 weeks ahead of us. And honestly, I did not like it. One, because, you know, we have pods, but unfortunately that they didn't accept that, so the whole team had to shut down. So yeah, it just sucked for all of us.
The Cardinals were able to turn their disappointment into motivation. They did daily virtual workouts and tried to keep everybody fired up and ready for their return to action.
It's been good. We've been going much harder. The coaches made that clear, like when we had the break, like we're gonna hit the ground running. We're not gonna let this slow us down or hold us back. So when we got back, we were going hard. We were good.
You know, I thought our conditioning would suffer a little bit, but our kids worked hard when we came back. They were ready to go.
Even before their pause, the Cardinals' schedule was dramatically different than a typical season. Without the usual holiday tournaments, the Cardinals are trying to schedule as many top-tier teams as possible in the time they have.
We got a lot of solid teams to wrestle. We're not going to get as many matches, obviously. We're not going to wrestle as many good kids, so to speak, but the teams that we're wrestling are really good.
The Cardinals are doing everything possible to keep their season going. They have 5 returning state entrants who are all aiming to get back and get to the top of the podium. And they're hoping they can take even more teammates with them.
It's going to look different than years past, but that's the ultimate tournament. That's the tournament that shows our guys, you know, how hard they work.
They all know the end of the story has yet to be written. There are no guarantees, and the threat of the virus will hang over them the rest of the way. But they're going to fight for their chance to wrestle, and they're going to see it through as far as they are able.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because, you know, COVID.
And that right there is the statement that can just pretty much sum up everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be tough because, well, COVID.
COVID, it's all COVID stuff.
It wraps everything up in a nice, neat little bow.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they ended up with one kid testing positive, another showing symptoms. While they were on the break, one of the coaches tested positive, but they're able to get back.
Which is good, obviously.
I thought it was really interesting, though. He made a good point about, we had pods, and that still didn't satisfy him. Everybody had to shut down. We've seen some different things with some other teams that had, like the swim team, I think it was from Elk River, they were able to compete, but they didn't have all their top guys because that pod was,
they were separated.
Was able to. Right. So I don't know exactly how all the rules work. It's unfortunate, but we certainly hope that they are not forced to take any more time off, and then none of the other teams that they have scheduled end up having problems of their own that would deprive them of some more meets. They're at Andover, they host Andover on Thursday, and they have Princeton coming in. Princeton is another ranked team. They're like at number 18, I think. And then they'll be at Centennial on Saturday. Usually they would have already gone through the Minnesota Christmas tournament.
Oh yeah,
and the Rumble on the Red.
Yep.
Where they would have seen a greater variety of those elite wrestlers. But it's good to see that they are able to get some of those top guys, and so that all of these guys that they have that are highly ranked are going to know what they need to do in order to be where they need to be come tournament time.
Yeah, and this is such a good coaching staff. They're going to have them ready regardless of who they wrestle against.
Absolutely.
Well, the gymnastic team is at Park Center tonight taking on the Pirates. Last week they traveled to Champlin Park to take on the Rebels and the Osseo Orioles. It's been a struggle for the Cardinals so far this season, but they posted their best score of the year so far. Coach Diane Habel and her girls just trying to get better each time out and get healthier. Well, getting healthier will help. Cassie Rushmeyer continues to be the team leader on the floor. Her routine on Wednesday scored an 8.25. That's sixth place behind all five Champlin Park girls. Move over to the vault. Natalie Herber has a solid first attempt. A little bit of a step, but she's able to place sixth with an 8.4. Up next, Cassie Rushmeyer again, and she'll lead the team in this event as well. Her vault good enough for an 8.6 and fourth place finish. Nice job there. Ada Drummy on the bars coming up is one of the Cardinals athletes coming back from an injury. Her first event of the season, and it's a team best 6.325, and she'll finish in ninth place. Herber on the balance beam, a solid cartwheel early on. And now watch the dismount. The back somersault to the side, she sticks the landing. Natalie's 7.25 is also a ninth place finish. Cassie Rushmeyer showing the skill with a one-handed cartwheel. And how about another for good measure? Back to back, cranks up the difficulty, of course, and she goes forward somersault for her dismount. She has a team high seventh place finish with a 7.75 as the Cardinals post a 113.375.
Yeah, and we were all scheduled to have Jen Halverson and Dave Amy at the Park Center meet doing a webcast for us this evening. Unfortunately, the Park Center AD put the kibosh on that, said, I'm sorry, due to COVID, we're not able to have extra folks in attendance. But we will have those results for you next week on Sports Night. They are hosting Andover on Saturday, and we are going to try and shine the spotlight on them next week as well, as we are trying to arrange a visit to practice later this week, and we'll have some more insight into how they're dealing with the virus and also with the number of injuries that they've had right off the bat. And what they're hoping will happen the rest of the way.
Yeah, they're looking to get those scores up for sure.
Well, the swimming and diving team is definitely the feel-good story of the winter season for Coon Rapids sports. This past week, a great test for the Cardinals. On Thursday, they hosted Spring Lake Park, putting two undefeated teams up against one another. Only one would be able to keep their record untarnished and keep themselves on track to be conference champion. Happy to say it's the Cardinals that do that. They make a statement right away after taking first and third in the 200 medley relay. They sweep the podium in the 200 freestyle. Matthew Struess wins in 1 minute 57.58 seconds. Nick Melsha and Nate Larson taking second and third. 23-7 lead after just two events. Jack Simmer had a big week for the Cardinals on the diving board. This back double somersault helps him post a 247.05. That's second all-time in school history. Cardinals just piling on the points and looking to put this one away as early as possible. Another 1-2-3 finish in the 100 butterfly. This time it's Nick Melcha setting the pace with the win in 55.20 seconds. Brian Tran and Mitch Tronson not far behind. Cards up 66-28 midway through the meet. Up next, the 100 free and a great race all the way to the wall. Tyler Schultz is just able to outtouch the Panthers' Sam Clark. Cardinals finish 1-3-4, and they cruise to their 6th straight win to start the year. 97-81, the final over the Panthers.
You touched the feel-good story of the year is definitely the case, and I love reading the little emails that Coach Donaldson sends us, because you could tell the excitement in what he's writing. And this, we did a match earlier in the season, and he said, well, if things go for us the correct way, we may be swimming against Maple Grove for the conference title.
I was just going to say,
and it looks like it's going to, hopefully anyway, happen.
And I was just going to say, you think they're excited now? Just wait a couple more weeks, as if this streak continues and they get to face off against Maple Grove with a title on the line. That will be huge. On Saturday, the Cardinals took on the Anoka Tornadoes and marked up another win, 7-0 to start the season. 99-81 is the final for the Cardinals against Anoka. Tyler Schultz set a pool record. This was actually at Anoka. That was my bad. He set a pool record for, blanking on the name of the school now, Fred Moore. 100 breaststroke, first place in 58.09 seconds. Brian Tran was first in the 200 free. Tyler Schultz also placed first in the 200 IM. Jack Simmer, another second place all-time finish. They did 11 dives, and I asked Coach, I was like, why are you doing 11 dives?
Right.
Why, he said, well, because usually 11 dive events are you only have a couple in the year, and it's reserved for tournaments. Because those tournaments were taken out of the schedule, they agreed that this could be an 11 dive meet. And Jack Simmer, 4:10.20, second place all-time in both 6 and 11 dives, so congratulations to young Mr. Simmer. Nick Melcha was first place in the 100 fly, and Will Melcha was first place in the 100 breaststroke, and 7-0. If I didn't already mention that, is pretty exciting.
I asked Coach the same question about those 11 dives. I said, why 11? He said, because it's one better than 10. So.
Well, the Cardinals will host Centennial on Thursday this week and Andover next week, and we are attempting, again, knock on wood, to have a webcast of the Centennial meet coming for you here on CTN. Nordic ski team had a little bit of extra time between meets, not due to the virus, but due to the incredibly ridiculous cold that we've been enduring. They first postponed it, I think, from like Thursday to Monday, and then they said, we're just going to postpone it out till Wednesday. So they did actually have their Northwest Suburban Conference Classic today. Because it was supposed to be like last Monday, and they pushed it to Thursday, and then they pushed it to Monday, and then they pushed it to Wednesday, and or something along those lines. They skied today. We'll have those results for you next week. They're going to have another skate race tomorrow, Thursday, and that's all in preparation for the Monday, Tuesday Northwest Suburban Conference pursuit. So we'll have all of those results for you next week on Sports Night. Alpine ski team competed in race number 4 of the year. Boys, 12th place. Again, only 2 athletes. They're not able to place as a team. Joe Van Norman was in 77th place. Dylan Bowen was in 87th place with a time of 1 minute 31.93 seconds. Girls team right in the middle of the pack, finished 6th place overall. Vossen was top finisher for the Cardinals in 32nd place. Emily Verbeek not far behind in 39th. Shelby Robidoux in 50th. Hafferman was in 52nd, and Zoe Scheck finished in 55th with a time of 1:19.53. They have race 5 coming up at Wild Mountain on Thursday. Section tournament is next Tuesday. So hopefully we'll have both of those results for you next week on Sports Night as well. As I mentioned early in the show, only one basketball game this past week for the Cardinals because they're playing a rare Wednesday-Friday schedule this week. So they're actually on the court as we're sitting on the set here. What a game for the Cardinal boys against Centennial. 82-68, and it was a dominant performance, especially in the first half, which is great to see. As we talked about last week, both of these teams have struggled with slow starts and then having to try and dig their way out. Not the issue against the Cougars. Jordan Doe led all scorers in the game with 21 points. Matthew Ellingson and MJ Galama each had 19 for the Cardinals. Elijah Smith, I believe, actually had 12 points.
Yeah.
Okay, screwed that up. That was on me. Okay, so he had 12 points and Armonte Henry had 6. They are hosting Anoka tonight, Wednesday. They are at Champlin Park on Friday. And Howie,
we'll be there. It's good to see Armonte Henry back in the lineup.
Yes,
as well.
absolutely. And he was not out too long. That's fantastic, especially the importance he plays for this program.
Yep.
Back on the point where they need him. Girls basketball team also taking on Centennial on Friday, and unfortunately, it's the reverse. They did have a slow start.
They did.
And Centennial kind of ran away with it. Ella Georgie, the only one to get into double digits with 10 points. Jenny and Tomboy held to 9. Nicole Pulse just 7. Caitlin Severson added 5, and Rowan Tom had 4, dropping the Cardinals to 1-4. Obviously, they lost a couple of games, but they're going to have some games later in the season packed together to try and make up for the 4 that they missed while they were on that pause. They are also at Anoka tonight, and they host Champlin Park on Friday. So some good
action.
Games for them, and both teams that are in action tonight against Anoka. Those are 2 games where the Cardinals should be competitive and hopefully
I think so
come
as well.
away with wins.
I agree, and we're hoping for that, and that some a little momentum carrying over for the boys for the game we do on Friday, because that's going to be a test for them.
Both of those Champlin Park teams are very good, but especially the boys.
Yeah, they're good.
They are going to. Cardinals will have their hands full, but like we talked about, anything can happen.
With the athletes that boys team has, and you're right, anything can happen. And if they keep the score close, they've got an opportunity.
Well, and that's what we're hoping for here on CTN, is to see back-to-back upsets against top-ranked opponents, because on, like I said, we have Centennial Coon Rapids swim meet on Thursday, web stream. We're hoping the Cardinals chalk up 8 in a row to start the year. Then we're gonna look for an upset, boys basketball over a highly ranked Champlin Park team, and then on Saturday we're gonna look for an upset girls hockey team trying to knock off and hand the undefeated defending state champion Huskies their first loss of the year.
That would be the upset of the year if that happens, and I hope it does.
Well, we will be around. We hope to see you there, and if not, we hope you enjoy all the action we are bringing you. But that is going to do it for this edition of CTN Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying good night.